Hello everyone and welcome to Render Time, the place where we talk to video creators about their worst and their best project and everything that happened in between. My name is Sean McDaniel and today we are talking with Josh Olufemii about his experience using AI, working on YouTube, but also working as an editor and his whole experience as a video creator. Josh, welcome to Render Time. It's so great to have you. How are you doing, good sir?
Sean, my man, I'm doing good. I'm doing real good. It's a pleasure to finally be on the podcast, dude. Been seeing you've been busy.
I try. You as well. You've got a lot of stuff coming up recently. What do you got going on? You've been just kind of all over the place.
Man, okay, so I'm here based officially in Melbourne, Australia. After I've been in Australia a lot for the last couple of years. Wife's from here, so we move between the States and Australia a lot. During this next stint, I am here in Melbourne. But I'm back home a lot for YouTube stuff, Adobe stuff, other business stuff. So it's been great. It's been really, really fun, man. Like the channel is kind of in a new phase. We're talking about AI workflows a lot more, and it's been fun.
So what brought you to Melbourne? What is there a client out there? What's taking you on the complete other side of the world from where you used to be? You were in San Francisco before, right?
Nah, I was in like Atlanta. Yeah, but I'm from LA. Like I'm from Ventura County. That's where I was born and raised, Camarillo. So then I was in Long Beach for a little bit. So Melbourne, I'm here. My business partner is in Melbourne. He's been here. He's another American. He's just been here forever. Shout out to Will. Then my wife she's studying to be a lawyer. So it just made sense. There's some opportunities here that she's pursuing. And it's easy for me to kind of live anywhere with the kind of work I do. So
that's cool. Is there been a major culture shift from living in the U.S. to Australia? I've never been to Australia, so I'm curious.
It's great, man. There's a lot of Adobe people that I'm meeting out here. Obviously, a smaller little group, but Australia is kind of an interesting mix between like the UK and the US. There's even maybe a little bit more influence US side, and then I gotta say that there's a very Australian tinge to them where they have their own thing going on as well. But the culture shock isn't that crazy. Got to learn how to drive differently.
Gotcha. Is there a big video community out there? You said there were some Adobe people. Are you referring to people that do a lot of stuff with Adobe or actually employees out there?
Employees. Shout out to John Barry, Chris Hansen, Emily Palmer, who's actually from the area where I used to live in Ventura County. Pro video people, enterprise people. But there's also a huge creative community that I've known for years. We used to do like creative meetups back in the day, back when I first moved there, like 2016. That community has grown. Like there's some incredible stuff happening over here as far as just creatives growing older, because I knew a lot of them when they were a little bit younger and just doing some wild stuff.
Well, before we get too far into our conversation, I do want to take a moment and let the audience, there's people that may not know who you are, surprisingly enough. If you haven't seen Josh, get to know who he is. But I'd love to have you just do a quick intro for our audience so that they know who you are and what you do.
I am a creative, mostly post-production, do a lot of production as well, though. But I think my claim to fame is the YouTube channel, which mainly focuses on post-production. Our YouTube channel called Olufemii was one of the first YouTube channels to yearly cover like the creative suite. This is like 2016. Like YouTube tutorials weren't as big as they are now, which is crazy to think about. But when we started, there were literally no video editing tutorial channels, let alone for Premiere. And so we started in the music video space. There was literally, not only was there no video editing tutorial channels, there definitely weren't video editing YouTube channels covering music video post-production, which is a very, very specific type of post-production, implementing a lot of newer techniques that weren't even being talked about anywhere, like speed ramping, stuff that's so common today, lens distortion. We were one of the channels to kind of break a lot of those things. Stuff that was kind of secrets within the LA scene, with a lot of directors. We kind of brought them in and kind of, it was crazy. People like Matt Alonzo, Mike Ho, some of the greats, specifically in the hip hop post-production scene for music videos. It was amazing. We've since kind of matured. We've kind of moved on from music videos. We're tackling so many different types of other editing workflows. We're trying to go a little bit deeper as far as covering different other parts of the marketing funnel as well. Focusing on, hey, if you're a video editor, if you are in production in general, you can't just work on the top of the funnel. You got to think about ROI and like how to actually be of value to the people that you're trying to make content for. Treat it as more of a business and not just a hobby.
Yeah. Do you think that that kind of has been a shift in, being just a creator? I think now you have to have a good sense of, social media influence, but also like how to actually put this stuff together. Do you feel like that? I feel like it's shifted a lot. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we're in a really cool place where I've been able to see so many different steps as far as all this, as far as stuff developing in the content realm, where before YouTube, video was helpful, but after YouTube and, social media started kind of gaining traction, everyone is understanding the value of video. Video is the biggest medium of communication that any business wants as far as when they're trying to push their product or service. Everyone wants a video. There's so much money in it, which has been good for us. And then with the AI revolution too, it's been very interesting seeing different workflows that are making a tiny amount of people, actually, not a lot of people, a lot of money. And it's not because they're special. It's just that they're the ones that are actually realizing the potential. Anyone could access these workflows. But right now, there's only a tiny amount of people that are combining the technical know-how of these AI workflows and then the past historical precedents, the past knowledge they have as far as being like really creative and awesome filmmakers and creatives. And this small group is just making bucos money. And we've been kind of covering that on our channel as well. More people are waking up to that. I don't know what the future holds as far as that. I feel like a lot of people are going to kind of wake up and it's going to be less of a novelty. But we have this really crazy thing where AI tech is growing more photorealistic, more crazy smart. And then, you have people that are catching on right at the top and making a lot of money. Beautiful content for less money and less effort.
Well, I do want to talk a little bit about the AI stuff, as I know that's a topic that everyone's really, it's definitely a topic that people are interested in and want to know where it's going. And I definitely want to get your perspective. But I want a little bit about the beginnings of Josh, of, kind of where you started and how you got to this point.
Okay, I started film production in Portland, Oregon. Grew up in Southern California, last year of high school, went to Portland, Oregon. And me and my bro, I was 16, my bro was like 18. We started, do you remember flash mobbing from like 20 years ago?
Yeah.
15 years ago. Wow. So we brought flash mobbing to the West Coast. It was really big in New York. It was really big in Europe. And it was crazy. We were one of the only, we were the first people to bring flash mobbing to the West Coast. If you could like Google Portland freeze, you can kind of see some of those things. But anyway, this was back when social media was new, like YouTube wasn't even really a thing. And we figured that learning video editing was a really cool marketing tool to make these flash mob events bigger. So I learned video editing in church, which is a really cool place. A lot of creatives kind of develop expertise in the creative, but also doing these flash mob events, making highlight videos. And it was a lot harder to do, to shoot, get access to cameras, get access to video editing software. But that's kind of where it started. Then it kind of developed. I graduated, went down to LA, started doing more work in the music video space. Got to work with some cool, pretty big artists for a few years. Then I eventually started teaching at Santa Barbara City College for 3 years. It was there that I learned how to actually teach and learned that I had a passion for teaching as well as video production. Out of that, I started the YouTube channel, like 2016.
So where do you think you do, your stronger point is? Like, do you see yourself more as a creative working on music videos and doing client work? Or are you seeing yourself more as a figure doing tutorials and actually training others to, be successful in their field? Both.
It can be very tempting to stop being creative and just treating this as a business. And I see that mistake happening a lot with folks where you focus more, you become more of a commentator instead of an actual artist. And so I've been talking to my business partner about this as far as like making sure that this is not just purely a business, but actually something that's based on real work that we're continuously doing,
Yeah.
We're actually making a video about that. It's a real thing that a lot of people struggle with, including us.
I mean, look, it's hard to go viral. It's hard to get audiences. What has been kind of your running strategy or something that you felt that's worked for you to allow you to kind of do this full time on YouTube? Like, what's your cadence like? You know, how often do you post? How do you gain followers for your own channel?
YouTube is all about knowing who your audience is. Mm-hmm. Of course, being consistent as far as posting, being really honest with yourself. I think we went through very recently a dip as far as engagement, which is finally in the past year kind of gotten back up. But we have to really be honest with ourselves. We would always just blame the algorithm, like, our niche is just, changing. And we kind of had to be honest, like, oh no, there's just a lot of really talented people. We have more competitors now. We have to step our game up. So just knowing who your audience is, not being lazy. Just understand there's so much science to this. It's not just an art. It's not just something that you're just throwing, caution to the wind as far as when you're thinking of stuff to talk about and to make content about. There's a real science to YouTube. Always works if you play it right. I'm trying my best not to nerd out because there's a lot to that as far as the science of YouTube.
I can absolutely imagine. I know that there's people that focus on, thumbnails to cadence to, again, knowing your audience. I mean, there's so many avenues to make that work. And it's a very open question, but just the 3 points that you made, I think will resonate with a lot of people. I do want to come back to that in terms of when we talk about your different projects, but in the spirit of Render Time, I always like to start with your worst project you've ever worked on. And this is you not achieving what you wanted creatively. This isn't about putting anyone down or working on a project that didn't come through. Like, this is about you creatively not achieving what you wanted and what we learned from it. So talk to me, Josh. What was your worst project?
It's always the first projects that are always kind of the worst. The guinea pigs. I remember my first A-list music video that I got to be in charge with my bro. This was semi big budget. Sean Kingston. we made a music video with him and another really cool African artist. There's just a lot that we didn't know. We didn't know about permit rules. We were shooting at a private residence, and I thought, we're shooting in LA, private residence. I don't need to go to Film LA to get a permit. And we would have gotten away with it because who would know that we're shooting there? Except our entire music video was a party on a balcony of that house. So also we didn't know to tell our crew and talent to find great parking. So they were parking in neighbors' driveways. It was all up in the Hollywood Hills. So we were really loud. Someone called the police. One of the neighbors' police came and they were going to shut us down because they're like, hey, do you have any permits? We didn't have permits. The only reason why they kind of let us stay was someone let them in the house. And, I guess there's a rule as far as you can't have, unless you have a warrant, you can't get in someone's house, I guess. And they realized they messed up because they thought the person that let them in was a owner of the house, but it wasn't. So there was a big ruckus and they were like, oh yeah, go, just we'll let you finish. Just stay quieter. And so that was a big thing. Also,
but
we were just very green.
If you let the cop in, though, I think if you let them in, it's okay, isn't it? It doesn't matter who the owner is. It's if you're in the house. I mean, and also it's whatever they can see from the door. I think that is what allows them to come in.
I'm not exactly sure the details of how it happened, but I know they were let in by the person who wasn't the owner, just one of our crew. Mm-hmm. Then the owner of the house found out, and there was this huge what are you doing in my house? And the police realized somehow there was some legal gray area. So they let us finish the shoot if we didn't continue making a fuss about what happened.
A lucky break.
But I want to say that it was a lot of it was we were very green as far as directing. So I don't necessarily like how the video came out. If I look back at that honestly, I don't know, it was a thing where they didn't really post the video I would have. I mean, it got posted, but there wasn't a lot of oh, I love these directors. I love how this came out. You could kind of tell I don't know. It was a bit of a sore area for us for a while where we were dang, we thought this was going to be our big break. But there's just so many things as far as just pre-production, managing funds. We didn't end up leaving with any money. We had to spend, all the money got spent.
What on the screen didn't come out right? Was it lighting? Was it pacing of the edit? Was it just
everything? Lighting was horrible. It was there's no moodiness. We brought all the lights. We were oh, this is our first budget. Let's buy all the lights. Let's rent all the lights. there wasn't any thought to as far as like, shaping the light or anything. It's just a very bright house. It was just everything you could think of. We didn't have a lot of time with the artist either.
Was there a moment where you knew it was starting to go downhill? Like at what point did you go, okay, I don't think this is what we intended it to be?
When I think about it, Sean, realistically, I don't think I even realized how bad the video was until way later. Like I was very excited about the shoot. I was the editor, so I edited it all. And, I thought it was pretty good. And I think I was kind of just, when you're young and when you're new to a space, a lot comes out in reflection and maturity later on than it's very easy to kind of blame other people. Like, why was it he? Why aren't we best friends? Why didn't he shout me out? Why aren't we? Reflection comes a lot later.
That's okay. I mean, we all have to learn at some point. I've had some hammers in my day, believe me. But you said there was a couple projects. What's another one you got in your in the chamber?
So I remember my first project where so as a video editor, you do a lot of work as a one-man band, right? And then there's that one project where you transition from being a one-man band to working with like an agency, right? And working as an actual professional editor. And you got to learn all new workflows. Like, oh, okay, there's a difference between like, working with like Lucid Link type setups or Studio Suite type setups, where it's like you're a small keg working on a huge project with other junior editors. You have like a senior post supervisor. There's like different like workflows as far as how to like keep things organized. It's crazy. It's nothing like editing by yourself. This was during COVID. This doesn't seem that long ago, but I guess it was like 5-6 years ago at this point. That was my first time working in an agency. We were working on some big things, and I came in way too confident because I'd been doing YouTube for years at this point too. So I kind of came in really like, yo, this is Josh. I'm Josh. I can do anything. And I got humbled. My post supervisor, he was yelling at me. And I remember, I hadn't really been yelled at like that in a work environment. And I kind of got offended at first. And again, reflection, I'm trying to remember specific why he was yelling at me. It was just stuff it was communication. I wasn't communicating well. To be honest, he was a bit of a hothead as well. But it wasn't just all him. It was definitely like a thing where my inexperience, his frustration, I think that he wasn't working with like maybe other people he's worked with. And it was a bit traumatic in the moment, but in reflection, I'm like, oh, okay, I can really learn from this moment. And I've been able to work, I've done stuff for Netflix. I've done other things since then. And I always harken back to that moment as far as, okay, I had in the moment, I had to do a crash course as far as what is the proper way of doing things. And I'm glad I had that.
I'm glad you did too. Can you try to remember like exactly, obviously somebody yelling at you, it's hard to focus on exactly what they want. I'm sure it was a whole laundry list of stuff too.
Like specifically with stuff I was doing wrong.
But yeah, was there something where, like the edit wasn't paced right or you weren't getting the story?
Exactly. Yes. So he was trying to communicate, from what I remember, just like what he wanted. And I wasn't used to being micromanaged at that point. But when I say at that level, but this is normal. Like when you have a post supervisor, when you're working on a huge project, you have to really know how to not make this a creative project. Like the creative can't be your creative. You have to funnel someone else's creative. And that's something that has to be you have to just kind of, because I remember pushing back like, no, I think this is better. Like this is better. This is like what you're saying, but it's like, it's not your project. You're being paid big money to funnel someone else's creative, and you can't butt heads as an editor in that respect. You have to be a machine unless they're asking for your creative. And then just being slow. Like I felt like I was just very slow. When you're editing, specifically like when you're editing with these Studio Suite, you're working on the cloud with other people. Unless you've done it for a while, you can just be you can come across as a very slow editor because you're having to do all these processes. And obviously people hate it if it feels like you're they're paying you for every hour.
Being an editor is not cheap. So they're probably like, you're just burning fuel at this point.
I'm like, why are we paying you as opposed to someone else? Yeah.
I'm a terrible editor in that regard because I love rewatching it over and over and tweaking it. And sometimes I get stuck in a montage and I like to kind of live the moment and see how, and I get really like when I used to get feedback, I got so butthurt about people commenting, especially music. Music was a huge thing. I love picking out music.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I'm pretty good at picking out music for stuff. But when somebody goes, can we pick a different song? I literally want to rip their head off because I put so much effort and time into that.
One more story. That reminded me. So this was more of a season, less than a certain project. Before I became a business owner and I managed a team of editors, when I was working for, it was actually one of my best friends, still one of my best friends. He owned a business. It was a video editing kind of agency, less crazy, but this is a video production company. I used to work for him back in the day, and I was very whiny. Like I was a very whiny editor about my pay. I'm just looking back, and I'm like I asked him, years later, like, bro, like, how was I to work with like that? Being a video editor and being a business owner are two very different things. And I feel like that when I work for companies, I'm a lot more humble and I put a lot more effort into my work, understanding that as a part of a business, my work is having to drive revenue in order to get me paid. There's some smart person figuring out how my work is translating to money, which is a process that I'm not having to deal with as just a video editor that's being hired. So I appreciate that a lot more before, when I hadn't had to be on the other end hiring a video editor and figuring out how to translate and monetize that. So I complain less. You got to be smart as far as, getting paid what you deserve, but just the way that you address things are very much different when you've been on both ends.
So how do you work that relationship with a post supervisor or bigger, a project where you're basically there to like put together what they're doing? How do you interject your ideas in there? Because I mean, there's a level of creativity where they got to let go. It's like, what's that? I'm gonna give a horrible example. That game where you throw the thing on the ice and then they have to scrub it. But like at that point, like you've got to let it go, and the post-production supervisor's got to almost like let you kind of run with it, because I mean they can explain all they want, but you still have to have a level of creativity in there. So how do you present something and go, this is what I feel is closest to your vision, and if they don't like it, how do you kind of fight for it, and do you fight for it?
In the end, the ball lands in the post supervisor or whoever, the decision maker's court, right? Sometimes you have people that are not creatives and they hired you because they respect your knowledge and your experience and your portfolio. Then you better, have something creative to offer. And if you don't, you're going to be blamed for that. But then you have people that have a very specific idea in mind, and that can be harder. I prefer not to have to work with those projects, but all the time, they pay a lot. And it's like maybe they've worked with a past editor, a past creative that they're trying to like emulate their style, and you have to do that. You can't come up with your own ideas. This happens in the music video field a lot, where it's like one of my mentors, Matt Alonso, would always tell me, yo, like maybe you've had this treatment you've always wanted to implement, as far as you want to edit like this cool like merry-go-round in this neon adventure dystopian theme park, but say you have like some rapper, he's not gonna want, that's not gonna match his brand. So you got to understand, when someone's paying you, they're paying you for a service, and you have to understand it has to be a collaboration, and you have to often be a psychologist as far as like massaging things, maybe making things feel like it was their idea, but you can't just be like direct and seemingly rude and imposing, which is tempting sometimes, when you're creative. Creatives are very emotional. You can't be emotional when you're working with, when money's on the line and when your reputation's on the line. Because people can hire other people.
I do want to pivot. I really appreciate your insight on your worst project, but also dealing with creatives and people that are that could be a bit challenging in the editing process. But I'd like to move on to the next part of your best project, something where you feel like you've achieved what you wanted creatively, something that still drives you today, and something that you made that was inspired by the the possible misery you had with your worst project. Let's talk about your best project, Josh.
I have a lot of best projects. This is the first project where I learned After Effects. I was working for this music video agency out in LA. I got to partially edit a bunch of videos for Chris Brown and then fully edit one video for Chris Brown. And it was crazy. I was like a big fan. I didn't expect to have this opportunity. And because my friend was the director, so he's like, bro, I need an editor. And I had never used After Effects. So I literally had to crash course After Effects. This was back before RotoBrush. There was like the biggest reason was I had to learn how to do masking, which I couldn't do in Premiere at that point. And so it was crazy, like hours and hours of masking for that video, just to do these simplest pop out effects. Because you have people dancing, put stuff behind them, do a lot of invisible VFX that isn't even noticeable. And I learned After Effects, that aspect of After Effects, got the video, edited the video in it took me 4 days. And I was so proud. That video has over 100 million views. That was such a cool experience. That was kind of my first A-list experience that just went perfect. It was perfect. And gave me a lot of confidence for future stuff.
Let's break it down. What do you think made it work?
If you guys want to see the video, it's called Little More. That specific video on the Royalty album.
What came together to go, yes, this is the one that I'm so proud of?
It was shot very well. It was beautiful, gorgeous footage. Made it really easy. It was kind of a cool story that it was the last video of a long range of interconnected videos. He made a video for every song in the album, or a lot of the songs in the album. Kind of tied a lot of stories together. It was just a great working environment too. It was really fun people. They gave me a lot of creative freedom, actually. A lot of creative freedom.
So do you think that's what made it better, is them kind of giving you that space to kind of create something interesting?
I hope so. The people I was working with were geniuses. So especially looking at where I was at the time, I would have taken the advice from whoever, but it was a fun project to kind of be able to own it like that. Just
like your worst project, when did you feel like this was working? When you saw footage and you were visualizing in your mind, or when you were getting into the nitty gritty of the edit, or when it was done, did you go, okay, I could feel this now? What was there a moment during the edit where you're like, this is working? Yeah. All throughout, Chris even came in, and it was gave his thumbs up. There were some really cool directors that I still look up to, that I basically emulated as far as their post-production flow. Vinny Hobbs, I don't know if you know Vinny Hobbs, he was actually a speaker at Max. Adobe brought him in. I had been a fan of him for years, and I finally he actually got to watch my session at Max. Him and Colin Tilley were kind of the duo that I would, they've done so many Chris videos. I would look up to, they were my top influences. And I just basically followed what they did. Stuff like speed ramping, stuff that we talked about, dissolve transitions, the R&B dissolve transition, they basically created all that. Yeah, I just copied that. It worked. Learn from them. I mean, that's very cool. I mean, it's obviously something that you did different from what you've done before. Are there any things from your worst project that you took in that you're or is it just a culmination of all the work you've done all these years to then put it into this best project?
And I've done so many projects since that video. That video was probably 10 years ago. I'm talking about that Chris video. Mm-hmm. You learn from everything. From the worst projects, I learned about organization, the need for effective pre-production. I used to really, back in the day, back when I was in high school, early college, mm-hmm. even a little bit post-college, I would always yell at my crew. One of my first mentors, Matt Alonzo, my longest running mentors, he would tell me, he would yo, Josh, your issue is you have a pre-production problem. Your crew doesn't know what to do. You need to make sure the communication is straight. Because I always felt unless I'm on my crew's butt, they're just going to slack off, which they did sometimes. They don't understand that the buck is landing on me to get this video done within a 10-hour shoot day. I need to get all these. I need to go through the entire shot list. But if you have proper pre-production, your crew's going to know what to do without you even having to say anything if you do it right. Learned how to deal with Film LA, film permits, when to actually submit them, when to kind of do some guerrilla stuff. Hate shooting in LA, by the way. That needs to change. It's too expensive to shoot professionally in LA.
I mean, they're working on it. There's, they're working on the permit stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely opportunity here, man. Which is crazy because, I mean, it's the town where everything's in. All the gear's here. All the people are here. I mean, for the most part, I mean, everyone's kind of scattering around now. But I love shooting in LA, but I get it. It's very expensive, and it's tough.
I do too.
I mean, it's got everything. It's got desert, it's got forest, it's got beach, it's got snow. I mean, within an hour drive, maybe two.
And it's cheaper.
You could be anywhere.
It's apart from the artificial stuff, regulation stuff that's created, it's actually cheaper to shoot in LA because you have that concentration of talent. It's way cheaper to hire like a G&E crew, DP, AC, like crews are way cheaper in LA. I've had to do shoots like in Texas and other places where there's a lot less competition and people charge a lot higher.
No, and like I said, I think they're working on it, but we'll see what happens. But I'm crossing fingers. I know the film community, you said, is pretty big out there, but are they pretty strict about setting up tripods and film crews out in Australia? Are they kind of touchy about that?
It's a lot easier. I haven't really done any like big productions here where I had to like rent out the crew, other than just like my little personal stuff I do with the YouTube channel. So I don't know on that end, but I do know that, bro. So in LA, right? Think about it. If you want to shoot, I've had to do this so many times. Like if you want to shoot on public property, the issue is permits, right? But if you want to shoot on private property that's not your house, you can't just have like a business. You can't just say, hey, go to a gas station. Hey, could I shoot? Can I shoot for 5 minutes inside your gas station, a scene? Everyone, at least in my experience, everyone always asks you for money. They're like, no, give me $200. It's such a thing. Like, give me a little bit of money, and I get it. It's your property.
Yeah.
But in Australia, because we're talking about the comparison, people are so down. Like, yo, come, like, what is this for? Private property, you can shoot for free in the public. Technically, I'm sure if I were to do something crazy, maybe the police would ask for, I don't even know what the permit system is, how it works out here. But man, I've shot in the middle of the street for hours. I've done some crazy stuff. And it's just, people don't really know to ask. Like, it's not as much of a thing on the top of people's minds to ask for money.
It also depends too. I mean, I've shot in years ago. I shot in Bakersfield, which is still California, and we had a whole scene in a convenience store, and we just went and asked the person, and they were like, "Yeah, it's totally fine." So I mean, I think if you go a little bit outside of LA, the allure of having a movie shot at their location is, usually a lot of fun and appealing to people. So I imagine all over Australia, it's almost probably the same.
They're really chill here.
We need that chill energy out here, but hopefully things will get fixed. We'll see what happens.
I love it. I'm always gonna love LA though. Yeah.
Oh yeah, my heart's in LA for sure. I've been here 15 years, so I get it. I even know how you're away. I would be so homesick right now.
I go back and forth a lot. Like, man, we'll talk about LA. I'll tell you my issues about LA. I'm trying to keep this positive.
I mean, go for it. I mean, if we get too deep in the dark, I'll pull you out of it. Don't worry.
Pull me out, Sean. LA's great. Love LA. There's a lot of things that can change. LA needs to be a lot safer. That's kind of the number one. Once you start moving to Australia, you're like, oh, snap. Cities can be safe. Didn't realize that. A lot of you guys, a lot of us in the music video space, what we're talking about.
Let's hope it keeps going on a positive trajectory. Just takes time, I guess. I do want to talk to you, though, a little bit about the AI stuff. You incorporate a lot of that in your work. So tell me a little bit about how because I know you did a talk for Adobe at a summit we did up in San Francisco.
Yeah, that was fun.
You did a talk up in San Francisco, and you talked about how you incorporated AI into your workflows. But I love for you to share a little bit of that with our audience on how you utilize AI with your current work set.
AI has been an ever-changing thing, ever-changing process that we're learning the new ways to do things all the time. AI was really useful for us in that when we shifted the business to Australia, as far as where we're based, most of our money's still being made stateside, though. That's where all of our big clients are. I wasn't even legally allowed to work here until like a couple months ago with my visa change. We ran into a problem where we're like, how we can do post-production, but we can't do any we can't do production unless I fly back, which I was doing a lot. AI gave us a lot of options as far as generating footage, specifically photorealistic footage, in really cool creative ways that helped us not have to necessarily just be back as consistently as we had to be in the past. That's an ever-changing process where we keep learning really cool workflows, like agents, agentic agents that are becoming a thing now, which I need to start doing more content on, because I just did a whole masterclass. I did like a whole hour-long masterclass that I'm realizing with these agents, I think it's going to make it a little bit obsolete as far as new, easier ways to kind of even take the creative, mental stress sometimes off of you, as far as not only generating, but also telling you what to generate. You can literally even put input. We just did this yesterday. We're doing a video with Agent One in video where you can literally input a shot list and a storyboard.
Yep, I've seen
and
this.
Dance will be able to actually create like a short little ad from it. It's crazy.
I mean, yeah, so we're in the learning stage, but where does this become where we're removing the creative? You know, I mean, everyone's concerned about job loss, and, you know, unfortunately with AI, I think there's going to be a little bit of that in there. So how do you talk to people that are concerned about those types of things? And are you focusing on this more as an individual creator because there's not a budget for VFX and artists to do that? Or are you feeling like you're getting better results with what you're doing in AI? You know, how do you explain that to folks that are worried about job loss? Because I mean, it's a thing.
Can I be honest? Because can this be a podcast where I'm honest, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, we want honesty.
Okay, so as a content creator, specifically in the tutorial space, I get all of that. Not anytime, it's a lot less now, but specifically a couple months ago, anytime I mentioned AI, there was a lot of pushback. Legitimate pushback, right? Like, AI is a transforming technology, and we don't even quite know what the bounds. We don't know what's gonna happen in the future. We have to understand, though, that we're not going to be able to put the genie back into the bottle, right? A lot of these concerns are legitimate concerns. And I used to be a very ultra positive, like, oh my gosh, AI, generative AI or assistive AI, it's only going to do the menial tasks. Mm-hmm. I used to say that all the time in my tutorials. Then, DALL-E 2 came out. I was like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't even believe these images are being generated out of nothing. I did a bunch of tutorials about there's no way this could happen for video though. Maybe it'll happen in a couple years. Then all the video models start coming out. I don't know what the future is going to hold. Like, I'm going to stop dreaming and trying to expect. I'm going to know what the potential is limitless at this point. It is completely a waste of time for me to complain and to be scared. Maybe I can be scared, but to start getting angry at companies for utilizing technology that exists, that's going to hurt you. So for example, my advice to people is stay on the top of the curve. Educate yourself and know what's available. Yes, it's probably going to cost some jobs. It's probably going to cost back when I was, 10 years ago, I made a living off of rotoscoping. You could have made a good living off of rotoscoping back in the day. Spend 10, a week rotoscoping, a 1 minute project in the music video field. That was huge. Well, now we have, Rotobrush. We have stuff. So it's like, it's funny. It didn't even occur to me to complain about that.
Yeah.
It didn't even occur to me. I was, now, you're on a different level of creative. Now you can start focusing on less menial tasks and expand your productivity. You just have to be in that mindset where it's like, what is happening is happening. And what are you going to do about it? Getting angry at companies, that's not going to, I'm going to be even more real, Sean.
I would hope so.
I'm going to be real. I'm going to be even more real. You might have to cut this part out. But if companies here in the US, operate with a hand behind their back, you're going to have other companies outside the US that are maybe aligned with countries that we may not agree with, fill that vacuum. So if we want to and I'm not going to go too deep into this, but if we want to start ragging on the companies over here, you're not solving any issue. You're just giving strength to other companies that are going to fill in the vacuum because the technology exists and it's continuously. So, it's like, be careful who you complain at and what you complain about. That's all I'll say.
No, I mean, what you're saying makes sense. I mean, I think the biggest thing is like, look, like you said, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. There's no going back. I always tell people, I said, there's always, and even if there isn't, you should still have this in your mindset. There's always somebody training harder than you. There's always somebody pushing harder. And you don't even realize it. You're pushing at one length, but you have no idea what the next person's doing. And to your point, if somebody's either complaining or they're, putting energy in the wrong places, somebody else is getting up the curve and getting ready to take your spot. So I think it's valid advice to where if you're not incorporating AI in some part of your workflow, somebody else is going to, and those companies are going to bring you in. So, I mean, you should at least understand it.
And there's legitimate moral arguments against AI on the other side. I get it. There's so many good, I got it. Trust me. You could name a whole bunch of stuff as far as more, but it's like, do you want to feed your family? Mm-hmm. Okay. What is the beneficial thing for you to do right now? Is it to act this way or to act this way? It's like, it's interesting.
But do you think that there's a little bit of that, like, I don't want to say selling out, but do you think there's an element of like, you're biting the apple kind of thing instead of being the revolutionary? I mean, I think in comparison, I mean, people said the same thing about the internet when it came out. And now the internet's just kind of part of our life, and people thought, education was going to be destroyed. I mean, we're still trucking along. So is this kind of a just different type of internet, or?
I think there's an honor in being a revolutionary, but the decision that has to be made is whether or not, speaking morally, whether you want to be the horse and buggy rider that's fighting the invention of the automobile. Like, your kids and your family there's going to be a point where they start knocking on the door like, yo, could you start learning how to use a photorealistic video model to create really cool content so you can compete with your peers, because they are loving the way you're going right now.
Yeah.
You're opening up a huge vacuum in the market for them to swoop in.
But as a creator yourself, though, don't you feel like there's a missing piece from you being a creator to having AI make something for you? I mean, yeah, you can get clever with prompts.
There is.
But like, you do a good mix of live action and AI, which, for me, I feel like it's helpful, especially for filmmakers that are indie and they don't have a lot of money. And it's easy for them to do like high level graphics, but like, is there a difference between somebody enhancing their film with AI versus somebody that's just completely making an AI movie?
But here's the thing, Sean. So you're right. Right now, we got to always be thinking of what is the technology at right now, mm-hmm. and what is this technology going to be at in the future. Right now, my mantra is yes, mixed media, shoot the footage, use AI for transitions or to add, a little bit of a garnish instead of just doing fully generative AI. Because right now, fully generative AI, it looks very great. It looks dance, it looks great. But it's not. It's still not perfect. So yeah, that works as a mantra now. But I always got to be thinking about the future, Sean. So it's like in the future, there's going to be a point where maybe stuff's not going to be Stuff's going to be indistinguishable. And yes, as a creative, I am going to be probably frustrated at that, either just creatively or maybe business wise. I have no idea. So yes, there is a reason maybe to be frustrated at that, but what are we going to do about that? Being angry at technology that is progressing is not going to be helpful. I don't know the solution. I'll say that. But I have my opinion right now is I'm not going to waste energy being angry at the inevitable. I'm going to just figure out what my value proposition is, hopefully still as a creative, and keep pushing. And as a YouTuber, I'm going to be educating the upper echelon of people that are down to learn and stay on that top tier level of knowledge to be ahead of the curve. And the people that want to go come along with us on the ride are the people that are going to win for the longest anyway. It's kind of the way I see it right now. My opinion may change.
No, I get it. I get it, man. It's hard to come back. I mean, with the results we've been getting. I mean, 5 years ago, I mean, I don't know. When did AI really start taking off as far as video? What, 2 years ago? When we started seeing a little bit of it starting to come through, and then, I think Sora was kind of the like, oh, this is getting real. And then before you knew it, Instagram and now Facebook is just covered in just AI stuff. But now they're actually starting to do like narrative projects. And I don't know, do you want to watch a fully prompted feature film?
Like, if you had asked me this a little while ago, I would have said no. I'd still say no. But you just got to think about the future.
Yeah.
The future, the future, there's so much AI being implemented that we don't even realize in the commercial world and the enterprise world that isn't being marketed as AI because smart, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
That people are just passing off as VFX. They don't realize, oh, that's AI. It's who knows, dude? Who knows what we're gonna want to watch? But here's another thing too. It's getting hard to tell. Here's another thing that's a little bit talking to what you just said before on the side of the creatives. I think legally, the fact that we still live with a legal structure, as far as how people do business, and internationally, it's a little bit more confusing. There's going to be a legal fight that's going to be had as far as, talking about how this data is being scraped as far as some of these, not some, all of these models. That's going to be interesting as far as creatives are going to have something to stand on for way longer than initially thought. I think because I think there's something to be said as far as that being challenged, and that is one power against the progression of tech that we have as far as legally what are we allowed to actually do.
And honestly, I don't know where you draw the line. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's lighting could be from one thing, the framing could be from another, the performances could be from another thing. But here's the thing. What I've noticed, and I was just talking about this with somebody at work, nobody seems to really care either. I'm like, where it's coming from. Like I haven't seen discussion on it. I mean, I'm sure, hopefully, leave comments, people. If you're seeing it on your end, I'm curious, but I'm seeing celebrities being portrayed in different movies and all kinds of different stuff being put out on the internet. And I don't see any type of lawsuits or any kind of conversation about things being not scraped or whatnot, and what people are doing about it. I don't see it anywhere. Really.
People care in the enterprise world for sure. Like say I use this example in one of my videos. Say I got like a Nike campaign. I couldn't use C-Dance on that.
Yeah.
Say any enterprise client is gonna ask you and be concerned about that. Not even because it's legally bound now, but they're looking at the future. They don't want to be caught with a liability down the road, I feel like.
Well, that's good to know that at least there's some eyes on it. I haven't seen much, but that's good to know that agencies are kind of looking at that in brands. So we are close on time, and I do like to end our talk a little bit about what you're looking forward to and where you want to go creatively, Josh. I know we talked about your worst project. We talked about your best, and, from being in front of the camera to behind it as an editor, and then obviously talking about AI and how you integrate that. But real talk, what's next for you? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to end up creatively?
Dude, I really want to get into like documentaries. Like, I've been wanting to do that for a while. I've been loving the idea of creating longer form content in the form of like video essays for the YouTube channel instead of just like short little tutorials, more creative stuff, telling stories more, hoping to figure out how to make that work as far as the channel audience and monetize that in ways, make a living off that. That'd be dope. lot of stories to tell that need to be told.
Is there a particular subject that you're interested in exploring?
One thing I was really passionate about that I kind of covered exhaustively in like little tiny pieces of content is just like the evolution of music video post-production. Like there's so many directors that are not being given their flowers as far as in the documentary, short form, long form, like just there's such a huge history in that field, specifically in the hip hop and even in the Afro beats. So many really cool stories and progression that isn't being covered fully, that I just know about because I'm a nerd about it, but I feel like a lot of people don't know about it, that it would be interesting to talk about.
Hopefully we're all going to see this soon. But I do want to give you a moment to plug your channels. Where can people find you, and what are you working on currently? This is for you, buddy.
Guys, check out our channel, Olufemii, previously Olufemii Tutorials on YouTube. It's a great channel. We cover so much stuff now. We have a lot of fun, and we're going to start putting out a lot more longer form content than we have in the past. So check it out.
Josh, thank you so much for sharing your insight and your stories with us. Please follow Josh on his pages and Instagrams, all of the wonderful things. Josh, thank you for joining us.
Sean, I appreciate you, man. This is a blast. Thanks for the invite.
I always like to end each one of my podcasts going, "What's your render time?" We'll see you again soon.